LATD Nation, what is good? Once again, we are back with another video. This is RG from the 843, as always, aka Rodney, and I'm joined, as usual.
Yes, sir. This is your boy Jay, aka King J. All hell that there king. You feel me? What we here for, man?
Today, we getting back to it. Boys, season 4, episode 5. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So a brief recap of this episode. It was picking up from where from the last episode left off, which ended with Annie
beating the brakes off a firecracker,
beating her senseless to a point to where it's like she was literally unrecognizable. I think.
Oh yeah, like it was bad because Firecracker started saying all this junk about her in the media.
Yeah.
Even though like it was kind of weird.
It was high key weird. She was spouting off a bunch of propaganda, get her sympathy from a certain support base or whatever the case may be.
And call her like a baby killer or something like that because she had like an abortion or whatever.
The usual talking points.
Which was ironic.
Which was very effective, of course.
Oh yeah, because she got her face beat in.
For sure. And that was brutal. I wouldn't say that that's amongst the most brutal things I've seen in the series, but it was pretty brutal.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like it's the scene with Starlight and Firecracker wasn't like one of the. It was part of the main plot, but it wasn't like the thing that caught everybody's attention.
Yes,
of course, going back to Homelander
and everything that he went through that episode.
Exactly.
I wouldn't say that it's growth for his character. It's de-evolution, if you ask me. It's like further unraveling his whatever little sanity he had left.
Right, because the thing is, if y'all saw in previous seasons, I think it was like season 2 or season 3, when Stan Edgar got ousted by Vought or whatever.
It had to have been 3.
Okay.
It had to have been the very end of 3. I'm pretty sure it was.
I think it might have been
Was
2.
it 3?
It was 2. I'm pretty sure it was 2.
You know what? You might be right because the main plot line of season 3 was really Soldier Boy and everything, like payback.
Yeah, so it was okay. So it was like around the end of season 2,
which might be my favorite season, honestly. Season 3 is probably my favorite season. Soldier Boy is my favorite character.
I think I like season 2 a little bit more because it goes deeper into what the boys were all about back in the day.
Yeah,
and the thing is, when you first meet Frenchie and MM, they start to kind of clash and talk about Mallory's grandkids, and then you got to see the aftermath of what actually happened to him.
Lamplighter and everything.
Yeah, and then it like. Ironically played by the guy who played Iceman in the X-Men movies with Pyro's powers, which I thought that was a cool season. But what I was saying, Stan Edgar was pretty much telling Homelander that he was just a big ball of insecurity,
literally. And
it's like, and y'all see why I bring up Stan Edgar in a second. But the thing is, I have a little theory in the future about what could happen. Well, okay, what could happen in the future, but because Stan Edgar always had over Homelander the fact that Homelander wasn't going to do anything to him because he was just a big ball of insecurity who wanted everybody's approval when Homelander could do whatever he wanted to do. So it's like, I have a theory. Well, we'll get to that later on, but
most definitely.
But yeah, what leading up to this point here in episode 5 is, how does it start off again?
I think that it really kind of like, because the main plot line of this episode, if you ask me, at least one of the two, was Huey's dad waking up.
Okay, yeah, that's one of them. It really followed 3 plots, to be honest.
It was that. Everything that was going on with Stan Edgar and the boys and everything. The farm.
Mm-hmm, which John Carlos Esposito makes a return in here.
Of course. Great as always. I mean, he pretty much doesn't miss in any role I've ever seen him in. Like, he was great in The Mandalorian. Right. Legendary in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Oh, yeah. That's probably his most prominent role in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Oh, for sure. That's what really kind of like, I wouldn't say rejuvenated his career because he had work and other stuff. Well, I wouldn't say like, I guess I could say like kickstart his career. I wouldn't say it did that.
Nah. Spike Lee really kickstarted his career in School Days and then Do the Right Thing when he played Julian in School Days and Bugging Out and Do the Right Thing.
For sure. So he's been around for a very, very long time. He's earned his spot at the top because great actor. One of my favorites. But
same.
Yeah, he returns. Stan Edgar returns. And basically what happens is the boys make a deal with him that they can get him freedom in return for, what was it again? I think it was like in order for them to get like the serum or for them to be able to like
get the soup killing virus.
Yeah, the virus. That's what it was. Yeah.
So because if y'all saw Gen V, Victoria Newman showed up at the end to pretty much take the virus, and
that was being made at
Godolphin University, which is another nod to the comics. Godolphin being the Charles Xavier spoof, which. Not to get into too much detail, because what he does and Godolphin does in the comics is very, very messed up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So anyway,
I've watched a little bit of I've watched a few videos talking about like the differences between the comic and the show.
Right.
And the show definitely, from what I can tell, is a lot better.
Oh yeah, it definitely.
It's got a lot more nuance to it.
Oh yeah,
there's more substance to it.
Oh yeah, definitely. The comic is just we already talked about comic, but. I already said what I said about the comic, so it's neither here nor there. But yeah, in this one, they're trying to find the soup killing virus, because you already know Butcher wants that.
For sure,
for obvious reasons.
Very obvious reasons.
Just wants Homelander to get got.
That's his whole reason for living at this point.
Oh yeah,
and then Ryan after the fact.
Right.
Sorta.
Exactly. And should we go talking to more like plot details? Spoilers?
We might as well. The episode's been out since last Thursday.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And I just feel like, at this point we wouldn't be expected to not talk about it.
Bet. So pretty much what they do, they show up to one of Stan Edgar's farms that he raised Victoria Newman in. Stan being Victoria's adopted daughter. Yeah. And I don't know how Victoria they said how, but Victoria finds them again. And I'm like, crap, man, what is she doing here?
She always finds a way.
To be honest, like as far as like tension being controlled around her, it's almost as and she's almost as intimidating as Homelander to a degree.
In certain ways, yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing I think about her that stands out is that she's a little bit more rational in her thought process than Homelander.
Right.
I wouldn't say that she is more methodical, because Homelander does have a method to his madness.
Right.
But she just kind of carries herself a little bit different. She is a little bit more controlled,
right,
I guess, and calculated in how she carries herself, I guess. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Because that's the biggest thing that I noticed too. Because if she wanted to get rid of everybody, she could easily.
But what I like is, like, even in the first episode of this season where they tried to kill her, and she's like, how is it you guys are actually getting worse at your jobs?
I'm like, yeah, that was messed up, man. And then Butcher even comes through and blasts her, and
she just looks annoyed.
Right. I'm like, man, that's kind of...
Which I like that, because I don't think that she really hates them, per se. I think that maybe it's more of, like, it's that stalemate established. Right. Like, if you kill one of us, if you hurt us, we're going to out you as a suit.
Right, yeah, exactly. Because the thing is, that's right. Because nobody knows she's a soup yet. That's the bit.
They don't know she's the one that was behind the White House, like.
Right.
Yeah.
Or that little courtroom thing with.
The courtroom. That's what it was.
With Vogelbaum and stuff. So pretty much when they walk into the farm, they notice that a bunch of Vought scientists were experimenting on a whole bunch of farm animals like sheep, bulls, rabbits. Yeah. Who actually had Temp V in his system like Butcher did.
Yeah, and the big twist in this episode, which I quite enjoyed, was flying sheep.
Yeah, because the thing is,
flying rabid sheep,
right, and
carnivorous sheep.
Because it was like weird because all you see in this certain scene is like a big V'd up bull new word. Big V'd up bull who's ready to clean their clock. Essentially, the next thing you know, you see a bunch of sheep come in and eat that bull alive. Eat him
off literally just like pick the bone clean. Like there's nothing left.
Like I'm literally looking at it like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, literally like pick the bone clean. There was nothing left, just like gone.
Yeah, this was a really big. MM had another big scene in here too, because he really just kind of you can tell he's really just the voice of reason for everyone.
He's kind of like the father figure of the boys,
or the mother, hence the name.
Yeah, there you go.
Like in the comics, it's way different.
It is way different. It's way more
weirder, more disturbing. But because in the
and Garth Ennis thought he was cooking with it too. That's crazy.
Garth Ennis that was weird. I'm like, why do you have to give why you had to give the one and only anyway.
And then another thing is like, and spoilers to the comic, I guess, the end where, it's an assault on the white. To be honest with you, I ain't reading it.
I'm not reading that crap neither.
Yeah, no, but at the end, it's an assault on the White House and everything, and they killed the president, right?
Yeah.
And it's revealed that the whole time it was Homeland, or Noir was
a clone
of Homelander, which is dumb.
Which as a contingency plan, just in case Homelander went off the rails. And then Black Noir ended up going off the rails because Homelander never
went off the rails
until that point. So it's like
dumb.
Garth Ennis is a great writer, but his comic was just kind of boo boo. But what they made based off of it in this show, it's way better. Like it's way better. So as I was saying, MM. He's like the mother of the group, or father of the group, but
whatever you want to call it.
But he's more like nurturing, like a mother. So that's why his full name is Marvin T. Milk.
Yeah.
So Mother's Milk. That's why that's the name why he has his name in the comics. Yeah. But anyway, like that was a great scene between him and like the and to pretty much make everybody work together.
It was because you had Stan Edgar and him and Victoria were kind of having their back and forth because they were having disagreements about how she was raised and everything regarding that.
And in some cases, you can see that Stan Edgar is showing a little bit of like remorse. Because he's supposed to be. He's based off of another comic character named James Stillwell, not to be confused with Matt. Their characters are more similar than Madeline Stillwell and James Stillwell are in the comics. Yeah. So James Stillwell in the comics is pretty much this cold, calculated businessman, just like Stan Edgar is. So I feel like it was pretty surprising to see that Stan was becoming being more remorseful about how he raised her.
A little bit emotional,
how
she's kind of turned out and what their relationship has become.
Right.
Which I really like that because it adds that really,
emotional. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm just saying, but as I was saying, it kind of adds that sort of human sort of aspect to it that the comic seems to be a lot more devoid of, humanity.
Yeah, it's just the comic is full of like.
It just seems like it's just edgy. It's just written by like a 13-year-old, basically.
Yeah, who just wants to
trying to like shock people as much as possible, basically.
Right. Who wants to say any and everything that they can.
It's like a 13-year-old who's just learning all the curse words for the first time. He thinks he's cool until his mom catches him. Then all of a sudden, you ain't got nothing to say.
Right.
We've been there before.
We all been there, bro. But but emotional is a way better word than remorseful, because clearly Stan doesn't see how he raised Victoria as wrong per se. I think he
feels like he did the best that he could.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which say what you will. I guess he made her a fighter. He made her a warrior, but look at her. She's also an international terrorist. So.
Right, because the thing is too, he's even appalled at the fact that Victoria gave her own daughter Compound V.
Yeah, even he is like that's how you know.
Right, that's what really caught me off.
This was the head of VOT.
Right, the head honcho. I'm like, man, this
as in all of the messed up stuff going on in VOT. That all goes through him. He has to approve all of that essentially.
Right, because it's all about the money.
Literally,
the almighty dollar.
But I agree that that emotional sort of human touch was definitely a highlight in this episode. I would say that just the growing fracturing of the boys and their relationship and their dynamic and everything is one of the most interesting things that's coming of this season. And not to mention Huey and everything going on with his dad, which I feel like Simon Pegg, in my opinion, had a really standout performance.
Oh yeah, let's get into that because this one for me at least was kind of hard to. It was hard to watch, not just because of the brutality, but because it's it has a message of learning to let go.
Yeah.
Well, it always had that message since the plot's inception.
Because they've always said that one of the Huey's things is that he doesn't know how to let go of people. He kind of latches on to people like Butcher Right. Obviously, his dad, you know, and it stems from his mom abandoning him as a kid.
Right.
So we really kind of gotten to see sort of like, not necessarily a full circle moment, but it was kind of like, we kind of see where it comes from.
Right.
And everything. But yeah, Simon Pegg's performance was very standout, you know, very heart-wrenching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was sad to see, especially because of like who we understood Hugh Sr. to be.
Right.
Just, you know, a good father that loved his son very much, always wanted to make sure he was doing good. You know, even though Huey wasn't necessarily engaging with him being the best son.
Right.
You know, it was really, you know, heartfelt kind of seeing him kind of turn into what he was turning into, because the twist is that he wakes up, but, you know, his mom, Huey's mom, used Compound V in order to do so, and he's got powers now that he can't control. And he's also like, his memory
is messed up, almost like he has like dementia.
Yeah, literally.
That's why it hit so hard for me, because, you know, my grandmother had dementia.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's why it was kind of heartbreaking to see, because he legit didn't know what was going on.
He didn't know what he was doing, and, you know, he was like disappearing and reappearing, and like he was basically teleporting through people and stuff like that. Which
that was that was hard to facts. But anyway, but it's like just him coming back to life, and then like Simon Pegg, like you said, his performance was impeccable, bro. Because it's like he just wakes up and starts acting. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what he's doing.
At first, everything seems great, you know. It's
right.
Like
They talk about pizza rolls and stuff like that again, and
and then, you know, it's kind of foreshadowed in that conversation, because like he says something, it's like he kind of like is forgetting what's going on like presently in the moment, but then he kind of snaps out of it, but then he kind of goes missing, and then the reveal of when they find him and he's got his back turned to them and he has like a heart in his hand.
Yeah, I'm like, we don't mean that metaphorically either.
That's on some Mortal Kombat stuff. That's, you know what, I realized this whole season feels like it's got some Mortal Kombat influence in it. Just like,
shoot, I wouldn't be surprised if they put Hugh Sr. as a character like that. that joke will be funny. Like, what am I doing here? Fatality. Look at it. You know.
Shao Kahn would be no match.
Heck nah, bro.
Which I wouldn't mind that, 'cause all that trash Shao Kahn used to talk really on MK9.
Yeah,
man, he used to get on my nerves. Every time you laugh, you suck. You better believe that flying dragon kick, man. I'd be across that screen quick to shut him up.
Like I used to spam the spin with Kung Lao the whole time, and then once that finish him hit, I'm like, oh yeah.
But I ain't gonna lie, as a kid, he was so difficult for no reason. Like that hammer move, like where he would jump and like he would like have that frame of like invulnerability, and he would like, was it the X-ray? I think that might have been the X-ray.
It was the X-ray, yeah.
That was the X-ray. Not even just that, but that shoulder charge too.
The shoulder charge, yep. I was about to say that.
Not even the one that goes across the screen, but also the upward one.
Yeah, it's like you couldn't do anything against him, but when you beat him, bro, what?
I talk so much trash.
Yeah, bro.
I talk so much trash.
But that's why when I play as Omni-Man, I'm like, Homelander, bring. Yeah, okay. Anyway, Homelander, come here. It's time for you to get yours, bro. For all them people on that plane, for
that girl too.
For that girl, oh my god.
He said you might as well jump. I'm like, what?
Yeah, nah. Like so many fatalities I pulled off with that dude, and then I hit him with the final with his X-ray or whatever.
Yeah. And
then all you see is Omni-Man just punching him over and over and over. I'm like, yeah, I felt every single one of that. I'm like, yep. Sure. Time to get this dude. Man, I can't curse. Time to pack this dude up, bro. That's all I'm saying. But anyway,
for sure. But yeah, that performance, in my opinion, was a standout throughout. And it really makes me wish that we could have gotten to see a lot more of Simon Pegg in the show. And they did a good job of execution, but I feel like it would have had a little bit more weight to it if Simon Pegg had more appearances, because we really hadn't seen him since the first season.
Right. Basically. It was really more sad for Huey than for Simon Pegg.
Yeah, I agree.
Like because like you said, we didn't see him that much, so it didn't really feel that. feel that heavy.
But still, nonetheless, Jack Quaid as Huey turned in a great performance too. I think one of the best performances that he's ever had is Huey.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Jack Quaid is doing his thing, even despite him taking kind of a back seat in his own show.
Yeah, he's solid as ever. He turned in a great performance.
Really, all the performances are great. Really,
yeah, for sure. So I would say that whole storyline was really well handled, really well executed. But the biggest thing that I took away from this episode was the very end, because going back to when the boys and Victoria Newman and Edgar were all in the barn,
right?
They come up with that plan or whatever to escape the sheep, and the father of her child is there. Yeah, he's the one that created the virus in the first place.
Which is kind of ironic because he's the same. He's the same scientist that was in The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
along with Giancarlo Esposito.
Funny enough. But yeah, so, he's in the barn and everything, and they're hatching this plan to get out. And when they execute the plan, they manage to kill all the sheep, and presumably nobody gets hurt or anything until Salim, that's his name, right? Salim? Something like that. Samir, that's what it was. Yeah. So they find his leg or whatever, like his detached leg. And so it's set up like he was killed, like he was eaten by the sheep. But the twist is that at the end, you see that Butcher along with, what's his name, John?
Man, I had just...
John or Joe or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. It's revealed that Butcher actually kidnapped him and cut his leg off in order to...
so he can create some more of the virus.
Yeah, so he can create more of the V. Well, not even the V.
But yeah, the virus.
The virus, yeah. So
I'm gonna look up this guy's name right now. Bro.
I really like that because it's continuing with that whole sort of is Butcher gonna because John says, or Joe, whatever his name is, says that the old Butcher is back. Once he does that, he's like, this is the old Butcher. So it's kind of like we're seeing a lot of moral conflict and dilemma within Butcher. It's like, is Butcher gonna continue to be the Butcher that he's been implied to have been in the past? Because before the beginning of the show, they make mention of who Butcher was in the past, and that's why he isn't with Frenchie and MM at that point, because he was a little bit too extreme even back then.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so now it's kind of like this is a return to the Butcher that he's set up to have been, but at the same time, it's like with Ryan and everything going on with that, he's kind of struggling with his own humanity. He's struggling, do I become better for Ryan's sake, or do I just lean into being the old Butcher? Which, to be fair, that's kind of been a plot point that's kind of been sort of used throughout the series. I don't think it's gotten old just because that's his arc, but at the same time, we're kind of starting to see a pattern where it's like, we kind of see, is Butcher going to turn? Maybe Butcher's turning over a new leaf, and then at the end of an episode, it's revealed that, oh, no, he's just the same old Butcher. But then eventually, by the end of the season, he makes the right decision.
Yeah, hopefully, because they're really setting up Ryan to become more like Homelander
for sure
in this season as well.
Which not to cut you off, another standout scene was when Homelander and Ryan have that heart to heart.
Yeah,
if you want to call it that,
more like heart to like steel cage,
literally. Because what he does is. Ryan says he wants to start helping people, like actually helping people.
Like being an actual hero.
Yeah. And so what Homelander does, and this is how smart Homelander is that he manipulates the situation to where he's getting Ryan to act more towards being a villain and being evil, but he's making him feel as though what he's doing is right. Because what he does is he gets... What's the director's name again?
The director's name is, first of all, the guy Jeffrey Dean Morgan plays is named Joe Kessler.
Yeah.
First of all. What's this guy's name? Hugh Campbell Sr., Daphne Campbell, Victoria Newman, Ashley Barrett, Black Noir. Okay, that's Ray A-Train. It's not showing up right here, but either way, he's the director of
he's been the director of all of the Vought movies and everything. Right, he was the director of the movie that was getting premiered at the beginning of season 3,
Dawn of the Seven.
Yeah. And so, you know, he was also the teacher. He was also the professor at God U.
Right.
But yeah, no. So we've kind of shown throughout. We've been shown throughout the series that he's not necessarily a great guy.
Right. And he keeps kind of harassing like one of the PR people or whatever.
Yeah, and so what Ryan does to kind of help her is command her to slap him over and over and over again.
Right.
And you can see the look in Homelander's face because he's like, oh yeah, he's becoming more like me. He's kind of, you know, of continuing my legacy, if you want to call it.
Yeah, because the thing is, the biggest thing with Homelander is that he's getting older.
Yeah.
Even though
Sister Sage had mentioned that, yeah.
Even though he finds, I don't want to mention the type of hair he's finding, but it's gray. Let's just put it like that. So it's pause. So it's like no diddy. So it's like he's trying to find the air in Ryan because you already know Homelander's not a fit parent. He's not. He can barely even tie his shoes on his own. Like
exactly. So I really like how what he's doing is because initially the way he was trying to parent Ryan wasn't working because he was kind of being more forceful, kind of trying to tell him what to do, when to do it. But now what he's doing is he's giving Ryan the illusion of choice. So he can kind of manipulate things under the guise of, oh, I'm letting you do whatever you want.
Exactly.
He's still acting like me, but I'm not forcing you to act like me, basically. So he's got plausible deniability. And Ryan's still
I didn't tell you to act like this.
Yeah, exactly. And Ryan's still being a kid. He doesn't recognize that he's being manipulated.
Right.
Which we've seen, that's the biggest thing about Homelander is how good he is at manipulation.
Like, quick question for you though. Do you think Butcher's gonna be able to like redeem himself by the end of the series?
I think so. I couldn't imagine them doing the whole will he redeem himself? Will he just continue to be who he's been? I can't imagine them having done all that setup for him to just die being, you know, this terrible person, die giving into, you know, the worst version of himself imaginable. So I think he is going to be redeemed, but I think it's going to be a bittersweet type of redemption.
Yeah, I agree. If it's like, I'm not to be pessimistic, but I honestly don't think so. I don't know if it's going to necessarily. I
don't think he's going to be redeemed in the sense that he's going to save the world, but it's more like he's going to be able to go out with some peace as I at least did the right thing that I could.
Right. I think he might get what he wants, but at what cost? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see that.
So I kind of like if he gets his redemption, it'll kind of be like Walt at the end of Breaking Bad. Just, you know, he saves these people, saves his friends or whatever. But at the end,
he lost it all though.
But he lost it all at the same time, right?
Yeah, he saved these people, but he can never like fully embrace and sort of like come back into these people's lives, you know?
Right? Because
he's the hero, but he's not going to be celebrated for it.
Right, exactly. But an alternative could be he doesn't change at all.
Yeah,
that could be the alternative, and I think that will be more like. More of an ending they could go with as well. Not saying that yours isn't plausible, because it is. I'm just kind of thinking of like an alternate way.
I got you.
Because in the comics as well, at the end of the story, he wants to kill every single suit, including his own team. In the comics, that is. But you already know how much the show. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
No, it's not even that. It's just what kind of writing is that?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, because the thing is, everybody in the team has Compound V. So
and
it's
that's another, not to cut you off, but that's another point that the video I watched the guy had made is that with the boys not using Compound B in the show, it kind of adds a level of sort of like
tension.
Yeah, and this moral sort of like dilemma in a sense, because they take a moral stance against it because of what it does and how it's utilized.
Right.
Whereas in the show, there's no the comics, there's no tension, just for the fact that since, you know, they're put on an even playing field because they use Compound B at will.
Right. And
the show, it just makes more sense because it's like this, like, how are they going to possibly defeat these people, essentially?
Right, exactly. Because that's the thing that I liked about the show. Like, the show, everybody, like, makes it out alive, but it doesn't feel like plot armory, you know?
It feels like they're barely surviving. And the fact that they've been able to keep that tension consistent for this entire run, it just goes to show you how smart the writing really is.
Exactly. It's not like an anime. It's not like The Chi.
Because there's a plausible reason as to why a lot of these people are staying alive. Like, there's a plausible reason as to why Huey and A-Train have met face to face several times, but Huey's still alive.
Right, exactly. Because I bring up The Chi because, like, a certain character in that show, you know,
made of Teflon, right?
Apparently so. Like, he's like the main villain of the show until like this latest episode where he gets capped. But the thing is with that character, the characters, the main characters, the ones who want him gone, are the dumbest characters in the show because they get the drop on him multiple times, but nobody wants to pull the trigger due to some.
Nobody gets to some monologue or something like that.
Oh, how'd you know? Like I'm telling you, bro. Like I want to talk about The Chi on this channel. You gonna see it on TikTok though. Follow us at LATD. Look at the details 843 on TikTok, bro. I'm gonna talk about it one of these days. But it's kind of like that. This show. So the show
feels cheap in terms of like the villain always managing to get away.
And the thing is for like. Not because the characters are like smarter, like not because he's smart or anything.
Because the characters are just that dumb and incompetent.
They're like, there's a whole drive-by scene in that, and they miss everything in the gun jam. I'm like, they got shots off, but you tell me you didn't hit him? Okay, probably not, because shooting a gun is a skill in and of its own.
For sure.
But the thing is, later on in the season, they get the drop on the villain named Duda, and. So you know Jason Weaver, right? He was in ATL with T.I. Yeah. He's saying he was the voice of Simba's singing voice.
Okay, I got you.
So he's in The Chi along with what's her name, Lynn Whitfield from a whole bunch of movies, a bunch of Tyler Perry movies, and from most like famously from. I'm kind of getting off topic. I'm
way off topic.
But my point is
that this show keeps the tension up. Boys keeps it up.
But The Chi doesn't, because it's like, bro, you got the drop on this man. Blast.
And that's it.
And the show sucks now. In seasons 1 and 2, it was fire, but now it's just boo boo now. Anyway, let's just get back to it. But that's my point. These characters don't feel plot armory like that.
They feel like they're always barely escaping with their lives. They always feel. You just had to get that ring off. Like you've been sitting on that.
Bro, this junk been pause. This junk been. well, LATD Nation, I've been Jay. No, I had to get that off my chest, man. Because that show.
You said that with your chest. You sat up and everything. You leaned in the mic. I was like, oh shoot.
Like, because the thing is, man, I told my cousin about this. I've been telling people, man, this show isn't good. But anyway, the boys, like, it doesn't feel like that. Yeah. Every character outwits everybody. Like
facts. They use their mind a lot.
Exactly. And these are characters that could kill them like that.
Yeah.
Maybe except for Firecracker and Sister Sage.
No, I feel like even Firecracker, like if she really wanted to, she could kill just about any of them. I personally, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, her power, she stated to be strong, quote unquote.
Yeah, that base super strong. Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like,
these are supposed to be like demigods in comparison.
And that's another thing that they put in the show too. Like we had mentioned, I think in our seasons 1 through 3 episodes, which I will show right here or right there. The camera angles.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll get it there. But anyway,
we'll edit and post.
We'll edit and post. Y'all go watch that video too of 1 through 3 if y'all haven't seen of our review of episodes 1 through 3 of this season. So. Homelander says they're gonna be like wrathful gods.
We're no longer going to be seen as beloved celebrities. Instead, we will act as wrathful gods. So, which we do see him enact that in this episode in particular.
Exactly.
Which also we see throwing back to Gen V, Kate and Sam.
Right.
In this episode Kate and Sam. Which I really like how they're like continuing that, and kind of like keeping that storyline relevant.
Right. Because they show up because they're at like this expo called V52.
Yeah, it's a parody of
Disney.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, because they do a whole bunch of 19 phases or something.
Yeah,
like
for the
like
next 19 phases,
like
and they have a show. Yeah,
yeah, like Disney be doing. They got VOT Plus. They got VOT Soul, BET's the VOT version of BET.
Of course,
they got VOT Love or whatever, those Lifetime.
And 8 Train got some show or whatever the case may be. Is it a movie or is it a show?
It's like a movie, like a Blind Side type.
Basically, with Will Ferrell and everything.
Exactly, with Will Ferrell, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like, but that's exactly how Blind Side was. Like,
low key.
Shout out Double Toasted again with Corey talking about Michael Oher.
Yeah. They basically made him ignorant. Yeah, they made it to where like he couldn't even put 2 sentences together.
Yeah, that dude Corey from Double Toast talking about Michael hungry.
Michael said,
"White woman take care of Michael.
White woman not call cops on Michael.
Michael hungry." No, but like they got stuff like that, and it's really clever, like satire on that. And
it's great satire. It's like GTA satire, where it's so over the top in your face that it's just hilarious,
right?
Because you just know how true it is.
They're talking about. They even had like a Black History Month like joke in there about Juneteenth or whatever, and then
of course,
and then they said like some kind of beer for their white for the Caucasian audience, but for the African American audience, they talk about. Yeah. I forgot what it was called. It was like what was it called? Like
it was like I don't remember what it was, but it was like I think it was like Crown Apple or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, either way,
some stereotypical joke or some stereotypical drink we known to drink.
Right.
I thought it was gonna be Hennessy at first.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking it was. And then they flipped to the audience. You got this one black guy dressed as Homelander. I'm like. Yeah, he's looking like disappointed. I'm like, bruh, I bet you wish you didn't show up, did you? Like,
nah, for real.
Because the thing, but yeah, no, it was just clever for satire with that. And actually, 8 Train from the last episode, they're in cahoots with each other as well, because I forgot what Ashley's doing, but 8 Train, you already know, he stole the Compound V for Huey.
Yes.
So
they're kind of covering each other.
Exactly. So the VOT Fox News, so the VOT Fox News anchor, whatever, I forgot his name, but we got to learn these people's names too.
Yeah.
So he pretty much dumps Ashley because they got some weird
whatever the
thing,
case may be,
thing going on. So
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, right, exactly. So he dumps Ashley, and so that Ashley can look like all big and bad, and pretty much like, keep 8 Train off the hook because Sister Sage is on the 8 Train.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I saw.
She's the smartest person in the world, so I would expect that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she knows, but I think she has something else like under her sleeve.
She has something up her sleeve for sure.
Yeah, so even in the Wrathful God scene, so in order to get 8 Train off the hook, she uses him because she broke up with him and everything. Yeah. Or he broke up with her and everything.
Yeah, and so she basically throws him to the wolves essentially.
Sheesh. Yeah,
and she's in there smiling. In that hallway, and just smiling, just laughing.
Exactly, and in that Wrathful God scene, they beat the brakes off him
for sure.
And it's like I can't wait to see what they do.
And what's crazy is they kind of use Kate and Sam like that. They kind of use that as their initiation. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I really like how they're keeping the Gen V storyline relevant while also continuing the main storyline, because a lot of the times when we have spin-offs and stuff like that, it's kind of hard to weave the two things together seamlessly, but they're doing a good job of keeping Gen V and everything relevant. And it's like, oh yeah, we haven't forgotten about this stuff, but right now we're just focused on the main storyline. But we'll get back to this.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like this was a good episode though.
It was.
Like what they do with Frenchie and Kimiko, they really took a backseat in this episode.
Oh, they for sure did. But I mean, at the end though, spoilers of course, Frenchie ends up turning himself in for the murder of Colin's parents.
Or
family, and as well as others.
I kind of like this one, like the whole thing with Colin and Frenchie's thing. I thought that was kind of weak.
I forgot about that. To be honest,
because it was just so out of left field, and it was so out of left field in the beginning of the season that you don't really even care about it. Like I would have just preferred them weave Frenchie into the story with everybody else, instead of just being kind of just there. Because that's a lot of how Frenchie's character feels, is just like there.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, because the whole Colin thing is like, it's
like they kind of felt like they needed to give him something to do other than just going after Kimiko,
right?
Which has been kind of his storyline throughout the entire series.
But that's what's interesting to me. That's what's the most interesting part about him. It gives him more purpose, shows him that he's more than just Little Nina's. Human, exactly, more than just Little Nina's hitman.
Yeah, I agree. Used to be. I agree. So, but I feel like they kind of wanted to experiment with his character, but I don't know if this Colin thing is gonna like last.
I hope it don't.
I'm not the biggest fan of it, honestly.
Yeah,
I can really take it or leave it.
Yeah,
I don't hate it, but
yeah, it's just kind of out. Yeah. Like they would establish this like in the first couple of seasons or alluded to it, like to Colin directly, not just Frenchie being like working for Little Nina.
Yeah, and
they would have alluded to Colin directly. I think it would have went over a little bit better with fans now. But it's just kind of out of left field, so it is what it is.
Yeah,
but it didn't take away from the greatness of the season so far.
Not at all.
But in my honest opinion, so far this is probably the weakest season out of all of them. And I didn't really saying that much, but it is probably the weakest season so far.
I can definitely agree with that. Based on what we've seen, it's definitely and not to say that it's a bad season.
Right,
it's still as great as ever. It's just slightly less captivating.
Right, exactly. It's just more, it feels unbalanced to a degree.
It feels like it's kind of more like they're trying to do a lot more with this. It feels like it's the most ambitious the series has gotten.
Yeah, it
which isn't a bad thing at all because it's a great show. I'm glad to see that, they're kind of continuing, that theme, things that they've established throughout. But it does kind of feel like maybe they're kind of trying to do a little bit too much, whereas before there was more of a balance as far as like everything going on with each character. Storylines kind of felt like they were a little bit more handled because now you got Annie's storyline, you got Huey's storyline, but then you still got their storyline, together as characters. You got Kimiko is supposed to have her own sort of unique storyline essentially in this season. As well as still having her little back and forth with Frenchie. M has the PTSD/anxiety still, but he's also
OCD.
the OCD, but he's still the leader at the same time. Right. Everything going on with Butcher, so it just feels like as the show has gone along, there's just been a lot more that they've tried to do all at once. Which, to their credit, they've done a good job for the most part. But the series definitely is not suffering from its own success, but it's starting to become a little bit more weighted down by some of the things that they've established over the years.
Right, because in my honest opinion, like in seasons 1 through 3, you couldn't really notice the lows. There weren't a lot of lows very much.
Because it was, and I think it was better paced back then.
Thank you. It was way better paced back then. So I'm gonna put it like that. Like it was better paced, and the lows weren't very noticeable. Yeah. But they're noticeable here. But it's still not enough. But it's not enough to take away from the greatness of the show. It's not tanking the
series whatsoever.
It's just there. Like kind of like Frenchie's storyline. It's just there.
Yeah.
Like, but it doesn't affect the story for me or affect my enjoyment of it. Yeah. And that's just my honest opinion, though. But what would you give it?
I would give this episode a low heat. I messed with it.
Yeah, I'll give it a high smooth.
Yeah, I had a good time with it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite episode of the season, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it was still good.
It's definitely not going to rank as one of my favorite episodes of the series ever, but I enjoyed it. As always, it's one of my favorite shows, so I'm always happy to see more The Boys content. I'm excited for episode 6 this week. Review was definitely going to be out for that. Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. Sure, we got a album versus album for you coming soon.
Yeah, we got a couple of new stuff, cooking right now. Definitely be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Follow us on TikTok.
Subscribe to the channel.
Yes, sir. Follow us on Instagram, LATD Podcast 843. Yes, sir. But with that being said, I've been Jay.
And this has been Rodney.
We are LATD. Look at the details, y'all. Peace.